On my third year, I had seen a poster quoting the Bhagavad Gita, but then I heard the philosophy and I was amazed at how deep it was. I had gone through stages of Buddhism, Christianity, and before that, no religion. We bought it in 85 and 83. The government in the south of Ireland, they took away our charity status. And that's why we bought up in Belfast. And in Enniskillen. One of our devotees who has since opened up a school of Hindu studies in Oxford University, they all wrote letters to the government.
Islam has 72 sects. All of them are present in India. Christianity has over 30 sects. Every one of them are present in India.
We were invited onto the Late Show.
So okay.
Yes. No illicit connection with women, no gambling, no intoxication, no meat eating. Wow. He went on the radio station and this is outrageous, he said. This is trial by media. RTE had to pay us a substantial sum of money, and Parshuram is there feeding the people in that town. And like there's bombs and you find that the Vedic system is probably the most eco-friendly system that's there. He kept on asking the BBC that it was the third most viewed, then it was the second most viewed, and then it was the most viewed. Yeah. Before last we had over 1,000 people here. This is of the Ganga, and you offer it back to the Ganga.
Right on top there is Krishna. Underneath there is a kitchen. Right?
The temple on the top. It's the stairways to heaven.
Yeah.
The spiritual world is real. The material world it's temporary. One thing which the Indian diaspora has, it has a respect for elders and a respect for spirituality. Hold on to that with both hands. Keep and give to the Irish people. Get it yourself and give it to others.
Hello, Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, Vanakkam and Jia Vich. My name is Yogi Raj and you're watching another episode of eYogi Talk Show. Tasmat sarvakalesu mam manushmar yadhyacha may arpit manabuddhi mamekev asanseyo. Lord Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita that whatever you do, if you devote, if you take my name and keep doing what you need to do, just focus your mind and your intellect and your soul into me, you will never face difficulties in our life. And when we look at Bhagavad Gita, top 100 motivational speaker, if you summarize all of their learnings, 80% of that can be traced back to Bhagavad Gita. That is the level of this positivity and positive psychology, motivation, everything comes from the sect, what we call, which is based on Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which is one Puran out of 220 plus Puran or 18 Mahapurans. So this sect based on Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam called Hare Krishna, established by Srila Prabhupada, who went on a journey at the age of 69 years and established a sect across the globe. And this sect grew so big that in Europe, there is a country called Ireland with 5 million population, where this sect started its own journey around 1982. And from the very beginning, the early people who took this sect, this philosophy, and worked hard, tremendously hard, breaking that initial, the understanding of the other society and the way it was looked at, facing all these challenges and establishing ISKCON, that it is the sect which promotes peace, equality, justice, integration, and most important, coexistence. So to trace its journey, I came to Dublin in the Govindas, right at the heart of Dublin city center. There's a beautiful place called Govinda Restaurant, and at the very top floor of this lives our deity, Lord Krishna. So I met this noble soul called Manu Prabhuji, Martin Davis, and he has dedicated last 40 years of his life for Krishna consciousness. He studies philosophy, studied all the religion, everything, all major philosophies. And when he came across this Krishna consciousness, he hooked up to it. And from there on, a movement started in Dublin, and over close to a million books of Srila Prabhupada, they have distributed so many programs, and now they are starting their own dream project of building a Vedic way of life with a temple project and an eco-friendly land where they're going to build a Gosala. So it is my fortunate moment in my life that I'm meeting such a noble soul and tracing the journey of ISKCON. So as I always say, these talks are not just, okay, we'll just do 1 or 2 minutes. We are going into the depth of the subject, understanding in detail, giving the full opportunity to the person interviewee to express them in fullest length. And the benefit is the community is you. So enjoy this talk in detail, in depth, take a coffee, sit down and watch in full length. And if you like this talk, then obviously like it, subscribe it, share with others and press the bell icon so that the next video comes on time. So let's start the talk with Manu Prabhu on ISKCON and its journey. Hare Krishna, Manu Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, and welcome to this eYogi talk show.
Thanks, Raj. Really appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me.
Very good, very good. So, it's such a glory of Krishna today. We are sitting in Dublin, just right in the heart of O'Connell Street. And it's so easy to walk in here. It's amazing the place you have chosen, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, the amount of people who come here, it's amazing because sometimes I kind of have my car outside the door and I'm just sitting there and next to me I see people going up and down the stairs. And I wouldn't be in the temple, so I wouldn't know. Yeah. But there's so many people just pop in.
Yes.
And they love to come and it's city center, so it's really good for them.
Yes, and even in the video, people can hear a little bit of noise from the outside. Last I met you was in ISKCON Temple, and if I'm not wrong, I think it's around 2003 time frame.
Yeah,
you were younger, so much energy, and motivating so many people. So my first humble question to you is that how you started your journey into this ISKCON and Krishna consciousness.
Right. I mean, that's that happened back in the 1982, I think it was.
82?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I knew that the Hare Krishnas were there.
Yes.
I'd seen them on the street. I'd passed their house in Mountjoy Square, I think it was at the time. But my journey was that I went to UCD and was studying philosophy, English, French. And then on my third year, I had seen a poster advertising a program in Trinity.
In Trinity?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was about the truth. And of course, it was quoting the Bhagavad Gita, verse 434, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Wow. So I didn't see the second part. I just saw approach the truth because I was studying truth in philosophy and English. So I came along and I was very surprised to see all these shaven-headed people. Yes. And they were dancing and I was very entertained at the start. Yeah. But then I heard the philosophy and I was amazed at how deep it was. How that explained about the ancient texts like the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and it really gave me a great understanding and faith. And when I actually left that evening, I was convinced that this has been the highest philosophy after studying so many philosophies and religions.
Because you were a student of philosophy.
Yes.
So you are the person who can best judge it. Okay.
And religions. Like I had gone through stages of Buddhism, Christianity, and before that, no religion,
Yes.
So I had done the whole rounds.
Yes.
And so when I heard this philosophy, I was really moved.
Yes.
So I was.
Very nice, very nice. And from there, the journey started for you. So this is like what age you were at that time?
I was 22.
22 years old. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I just finished.
Okay. And then from there on, joining the sect, that happened was there any temple in Dublin those days?
There was, yeah. I mean, it was, I didn't join straight away because I was still just finishing off some studies. And the temple was in Temple Oak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And funnily enough, it moved to Temple Bar after that. But they were the way it was going at the time. And when it was a beautiful house.
Yes.
But it was only rented. But still, it was that we were there for about 3-4 years.
Yes.
And I joined in that temple, basically.
How big was the ISKCON movement, Krishna consciousness in Ireland at that moment of time? Was it like a bunch of only handful of people or more?
Yeah, I think there were mainly young people, and anybody who was a member lived in the temple.
Yes.
There was no such thing as people living outside or being a member. I think we had 1 or 2, something like that. Yeah. But most people were actually full-time in the temple.
It is so amazing that when the other youths are going to Temple Bar, you're going to Temple Oak Temple.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, it was. I think there was a certain piety in Ireland at that time, which probably isn't there now as much.
Yes.
And so therefore, there was a lot of people who were looking for something, and they when they came across Krishna consciousness, there was nothing like it. It was, it was exotic.
Yes.
It was counterculture, shall we say?
Yes.
So, but these people, like, they were getting up at 4 a.m. They were chanting for hours. They were having Bhagavatam class. They were, it was a very exciting lifestyle, actually.
Really?
There was many things that we did. Like at that time, actually, we bought a temple in Belfast in a very short time.
Wow.
In one of the best areas in Belfast as well.
Yes.
And then we turned our attentions to buying an island.
Yes. And so that's where the ISKCON came in picture.
Yes.
What year was this?
That was we bought it in 85, and the deities were installed in 1986.
1986.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you can imagine, like, it was full on. We were super enthusiastic. There was nothing going to stop us.
And this is like, I think the Srila Prabhupada, he took moksha around in 1977, he passed away, right?
Yes.
So this is just after like 5-6 years later on, you come straight into it, into the sect, and start the journey of ISKCON in Ireland.
I think that there was still a huge momentum just after Srila Prabhupada left in 1977.
Okay.
I mean, I was just slightly aware of his existence at that time. I remember being in London one time in 77, which was just when he passed away, of hearing something about him. But I never actually had the punya or the grace actually to go and visit him at that time. But anyway, better late than never.
Yes. You're doing this now. And so, like, you're today, serving over, I say easily, like, 40 years, probably easily 40 years, right?
Yes. Yeah.
40 years of Krishna
consciousness. Yeah, trying to serve, yes.
Trying to serve. That is fascinating journey, 4 decades of serving.
Yeah.
And you have seen all the ups and downs. So basically, when we look at the tracing of the journey of temples, Temple Oak was first temple, followed by Belfast, then ISKCON.
Yeah, there's quite interesting in that situation, because in 83, the government in the south of Ireland, they took away our charity status.
Wow.
Yeah, they took away our charity status, and there was quite a kind of a negativity towards new sects. That's how they viewed it, and so we were quite nervous at that time as well, because they were very powerful. It was backed by the predominant church at the time, shall we say?
Yes.
And they were getting nervous because they saw a lot of people coming to this Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
So it had the effect that they pulled a few strings, basically, or somehow, I don't know how exactly, that the charity status was removed. So in that sense, we moved all our operations up north. And that's why we bought up in Belfast. And in Enniskillen, because we weren't sure which way it would go.
In Ireland.
Ireland. Whereas in the UK, it was different. It was more acceptable, and Prabhupada had been there. And then, interestingly enough, one of our devotees who has since opened up a school of Hindu studies in Oxford University.
Wow.
Yes.
You're a student
from Wexford.
Wow.
Yes, and he opened the school, I think, in around 2000, 2001 or something. And it's flourishing. flourishing.
Actually, because a lot of prominent scholars today are going in Oxford and studying Hinduism
That's
and all
right.
on the Eastern philosophies.
And that's done in the School of Hindu Studies. He opened up a whole new school there. What he did was he got all the scholars around the world, excluding Trinity College, and they all wrote letters to the government explaining that this is a bona fide religious system, spiritual system, which has has its roots in antiquity in that sense, over 5,000 years ago when it was written down. And eventually there was a change of heart in the government in about 83, 84. It worked.
It worked. The latter worked.
Yeah, the charity status was renewed. So you see that our charity status kind of starts from 1984 because of that.
This particular phase, when this letter which was written was by that gentleman, the Oxford one, or no?
No, it was him. What he did is he enrolled all scholars from around the world and got them to write directly to the Taoiseach at the time. The head of the government, saying that this is completely illegal, it is unjust. What you're doing here is not allowable because it's freedom of religion. And as I said, it worked. And then in 1984, the charity status was restored.
It's very interesting because a lot of people don't know India is such a huge country. When you look at India has Islam has 72 sects. All of them are present in India. Christianity has over 30 sects. Every one of them are present in India. Islam's all sect can basically live peacefully in India, but if they are living in a Muslim world, where the pure Islamic world, those two sects will be fighting to each other.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, actually, the history of Indian religion, which I've been studying, like in all the times, even though there were huge differences of opinion, say, for instance, between Buddhism and Varnashram Dharma and so on, Sanatana Dharma, even though there's major differences, still they debated furiously. But there was no wars. There was no. Whereas in the West, in Christianity, when there was even a slight difference of doctrine,
sword comes out.
Off of the head.
Exactly. It's interesting when you mentioned that in 2,500 years back, when the Buddhism came, from there on, an entire population, these Buddhism was like a kind of a monastery type style and missionary religion, where people are going, bunch of saints, sadhus, going in a village, convincing everybody. The whole village converts to Buddhism. Then the Hindus come, they say, what happened here? So they will come, they will convince again. So for next 1,000 years, if you look at the history of India, where the entire philosophy flourished, basically the answer of one people will be writing a book, other one will write other book. It's
amazing.
It's amazing,
it really is.
When you mention this. And so in terms of temple journey, then ISKCON, Templeog, and then what happened after that?
Yeah, well, it was in Enniskillen, we installed the deities of Radha Govinda, which were marble deities. That was in 1986.
86, yeah.
And it was an unbelievable event, because people from Belfast, Dublin, all over Ireland came for it. And all of the swamis in different parts of the world all came there as well. And it was incredible energy. And we had also some of the people from Cambridge, from Oxford, some of the religion professors. They also came because they were fascinated as well. A spiritual system, and it's set on an island. And it's the ancient Vedic culture. The deities being worshipped. So it was fascinating for them, and So we settled in there quite well, and but it's interesting because you were asking me about the daily schedule. Like for the first 5 years, I was a monk. Like in that sense, I was a brahmachari.
Wow!
But an interesting thing happened. A socially interesting event in the fact that most of the people who were joining at that time were quite young. And young boys, young girls as well. And because, as you know, there's a ladies' ashram as well as a men's ashram. But after about 5-6 years, a lot of people got married.
Okay, from the same group, yeah.
From the same group, or maybe from England,
Yes,
or from
yes.
from different parts of Ireland.
Yeah,
There was
yeah,
Belfast,
yeah.
Innisrat. We still had centres in Dublin. Actually, we had our first restaurant started to happen in Dublin at that time, and and then there was a different kind of flavour. More people started to live outside the temple than were living inside the temple,
yeah.
and. So there was a different social structure happened then, and for instance, I got married in 1989.
89, okay.
Yes, and then I met my wife. I knew her beforehand, but we got engaged in 1988, and then in 1989 we got married, and then our first son arrived in 1990.
Wow.
Jayananda.
Jayananda.
Yes, and my daughter arrived also on Ram Navami, which is celebrated
My goodness. Birthday on Ram Navami. Her name is Sita,
Her
right?
name is Sita, yes.
I still remember because 2003, when I met you in ISKCON Temple, you told me, and that meeting never forgot because I remembered the name.
Right,
Sita.
yes. She's now she's over in the UK, and she teaches in the Gurukul.
Wow.
In the UK, yes, in Bhaktivedanta Manor.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating journey. So tell me, you're obviously at the age where, what about, were there any senior devotees, bhaktas of this sect who are no more, or before they joined here, who you miss today as well? Or is it like you were the earlier ones?
Before me was in about the main bunch of people who joined, I'd say, was between 79 and 84.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And although the first temple came here, I think in 76, it was in Sutton. And incidentally, that house has been sold recently. And in the advert, it said the first Hare Krishna temple in Ireland was when they were selling it. It was quite interesting that it still has the name anyway for being there.
Yeah.
And I think it really got going when there was a member. His name was Prithu Das.
Okay.
He was from Germany.
Okay.
And he was a very inspirational leader, and he came in about 79, and that's when a lot of people became members of the Hare Krishna movement. And he got onto the at the time the Late Late Show was still going on in Ireland.
Yes.
But we were invited onto the Late Late Show.
Late Show, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
In 1980, and because I remember when I hadn't joined and I was looking at it.
Yeah.
And it was a very explosive interview because it was kind of controversial because the compere at the time, he was very well known, Gail Byrne, I think everybody knows. He had someone on as well at the program who was promoting a very kind of licentious book, you know.
Okay.
So at the same time, he had on these monks who would no illicit connection with women, no gambling, no intoxication, no meat eating. So he had the two of them on at the same time. And he had the Hare Krishna on first, and then he had the lady on. And the book that she was promoting was, I won't even mention it.
Yes.
And then the compere guy, he turned to Prithu and he says, Prithu, what do you think of this? And Prithu said, I think any Irish man in the audience would be ashamed of his ears to have heard such nonsense as was being talked of here. And suddenly the whole audience clapped.
Really?
They thought it was good. They were really behind what he said, and the compere didn't know what to do. And anyway, it finished off with we were chanting Hare Krishna on the stage, but it was a huge PR coup, shall we say? People said, "Wow, these people are serious,"
No, it brings to me my next question as well. That thanks for remembering that the noble soul you mentioned.
Yeah, and by the way, he's lives in India, but he's coming to Ireland in a few weeks, I think.
Oh, brilliant! Maybe I will catch him as well. Probably.
Definitely.
Yeah, we need to trace this all the great devotees who have spent so much of time. The good thing is now in Ireland, the Indian population is crossing over 100,000.
Right.
And a lot of them don't know all this rich history. If you look at the Eastern philosophy or Sanatan Dharma journey, it is ISKCON. nobody else. This is how it started. So the ISKCON sect and people like you are the inspiration not only for people like me, young generation, for my kids and the future generation. Because if they trace the journey, who are these people? It will always stop at you guys.
Yeah, I mean, another interesting story.
Yes, please.
A little controversial, but anyway, at the time it was when we opened our restaurant. I think it was around, and it was just after we opened the island in '86. It was very interesting because there was a very good publicity at the time, but there was still that kind of air. There was, shall we say, the predominant spiritual system in Ireland at the time.
Yes.
We're getting quite worried about what was happening, but we got called up one day by the RTE. She said that we've been told that by a person that he ate some food in your restaurant, and the next minute he woke up on the island not knowing how he got there, and he was kept in captivity. And the amazing thing, this was done on live radio.
Okay. Okay.
And we had practically, the next day we had to go on radio and try to find out what happened. What was this about?
Okay.
It was incredible. It was a bit scary as well.
Yeah.
And but the amazing thing was that the guy actually he just came up anyway. He was actually coming up to the island because he wanted to see what was happening.
Yeah.
And the time when he said, this is quite complex, but it's quite interesting.
Take your time. Yeah.
The time when he said that he was in the restaurant, and that he had taken something, whatever, and he was shown on RTE television.
Yeah.
Holding a placard up outside the Russian embassy with all of the devotees.
Yeah.
That because we were complaining because the devotees in Russia were being incarcerated.
Oh.
So it was a huge movement across the world in about 86, 87.
Yes, I remember
the members of the Hare Krishna movement were being killed. Yes. They were being put in psychiatric hospitals just because of this.
Yes.
So there was a huge march.
Yes.
And this person that was supposed to be, suddenly woke up, was there holding a placard on RTE radio or television.
Okay.
So this same person I'm telling you about opened up the School of Hindu Studies.
Really? Wow.
He went on the radio station and he played this and he showed it to them. They had the compere on, and the person who was complaining says, "Well, what about this? Who's this here, by the way?"
Yeah.
And they went, So what happened, very interesting, what happened was that we took a legal action and brought it to court,
Wow.
And it went before a famous justice of High Court judge.
Okay.
Very, very good, actually.
Mm-hmm.
He heard the different things from the different sides, And but I meant to say to you actually as well that during the interview, that was on the radio, his former employee, which it was like Tesco at the time, it was Quinsworth. They rang up and said that, this person is, we had to fire him because he was notorious for telling lies.
Oh.
And this was all on live radio for 3 days in a row. But the amazing thing was that the justice, when he heard it, he slammed his thing down. He says, "This is outrageous," he said. "This is trial by media. This is not the position of the media to do something like this." Mm-hmm. And so he awarded us costs, and then the RTE had to pay us a substantial sum of money and offer us a radio program, which was beneficial to the Hare Krishna.
My goodness!
So I'm just about the rich history of what we kind of went through in the early days.
This is exactly my audience. What I wanted to be. This is exactly what I want the audience of 100,000 Indians to listen. That. How much of struggle the devotees of Krishna and Sanatan Dharma have struggled outside India.
Yeah.
And how much sacrifice you guys have done there. Because the Russian story was also...
The Russians, I mean, that was serious. I mean, wasn't until Gorbachev, and actually it happened when one of our members, a young person in Australia, went to Gorbachev and wrote a song for him and sang it in front of him when Gorbachev was visiting Australia. Then everything actually changed. Of course, everything changed in Russia anyway. And now it's probably one of the biggest centers,
Yes.
But it was a difficult time.
I met a devotee in an ISKCON temple, and he was telling me a story. He met a devotee who was in Russian prison, and they took their Bhagavad Gita out from them. Then they had the beads, the mala. So they were chanting Hare Krishna name. So they took the mala as well from them. So they literally banned everything. So how do you chant names? So what they did, he was telling they will take the pieces of bread and they will roll them, make the beads,
that's right,
and take the thread out of their shirt or something, weave them, and that's how they chanted the name of Hare Krishna.
Yeah. That's amazing, isn't it? That's real sacrifice.
It is. These things are such a fascinating stories. So Manu Prabhu, obviously there are so many devotees, who are from this society who have dedicated their life. Can you just, describe some of the names and the contributions, how they are doing, and where they are right now?
Yeah. I mean, it's quite interesting. Our Pragosh, who we both joined around the same time, 1982, he was the first non-direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada, because there's many direct disciples who were on the world body, but he was one of the first to ever be on the whole world body, which looks after the whole of ISKCON worldwide. And not only that, but he was the chairman on 2 occasions.
Wow.
So he was the top person in the whole ISKCON world on 2 occasions.
Wow.
So quite amazing. And I mentioned to you about that other person, Shaunika, who set up the School of Hindu Studies.
Very nice.
These are all local people. Paul Samdani Karani, Shaunika's from Wexford. And also our Parashuram, who's he's at the moment, I think he's distributed literally millions of plates of food in London to students. Millions, yes. He's at the moment he's in Ukraine.
Yes.
He's in
serving Ukraine.
In Ukraine, and he's brought down so many vans, and all those vans are given to the Ukrainians to do food distribution.
Wow.
I was talking to one of our devotees from Ukraine here yesterday, and his village is near the front line.
Front line, okay. And directly affected by war.
Directly affected. There was 50,000 people who were in his town beforehand. There's only 7,000 now. And his parents are still there. Parashuram is there feeding the people in that town.
My goodness.
And there's bombs and whatever going off all the time.
In the heart of
right
the war,
in the heart of it.
ISKCON devotee is dedicating his life.
And they're the only people
dharma.
who are left there are the ISKCON devotees. It's quite amazing. I mean, he's from Kildare. He's lived in London for 20, 25, 30 years.
Wow.
And the other amazing thing is his sister has been the Pujari up in Inishrath for nearly 30 years.
30 years. Wow.
And she has, every morning she's up at 2:30 in the morning. Wow. She does the work of 3 people. Anytime she takes a break, we have to have 3 people to fill in.
Yes.
And when she takes a break, she goes to
one person doing 3 people's job.
She goes to India, to Vrindavan, and spends all her time there.
Yeah.
These are saints, basically.
Yes. Exactly. It's not a one person's ever, even from Indian community, I recognize, Sanjeev Bhai, amazing, tremendous soul, doing so much of work here.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime I see, any last Rath Yatra, I met him, it was short by certain name, and he says, just Lord Jagannath is going to give us, no need to worry. And tell me, so was there more struggle after that, before 2000, many other issues, acceptance around the Irish community?
That started to change, actually.
Okay.
It started to change around the 90s, I'd say. Things started to change, there was more acceptance. And actually at that time, the only people from India who lived in Ireland were generally from the medical profession. And they would come regularly to the temples, and they would love it because it was almost like the only temple that was here that we had.
Yeah.
Like we had in Dublin, we We had 2 temples in Temple Bar.
Yeah.
There was another one in Dawson Lane. There was another one in South William Street, but they were only kind of rented buildings because we couldn't afford to actually to buy a particular building. That came much later, after the restaurants, in that sense. When the restaurants started to happen, then we, like for instance, we bought this particular temple in 2004.
This is 2004 onwards. Okay.
Yeah, actually, we got this temple in 2004, but we actually bought it in 2017 because we were renting it initially.
Oh, so now you own this?
Yes, now we own this particular temple. Yeah, it's really, really.
Okay, we didn't know. A lot of people don't know. They think it's a rented place. So this is owned.
Yes.
Owned place.
And the funny thing is that one of the main points of Sanatana Dharma is that that through sacrifice.
Yes.
That's how we can become happy in this world. Like, it's yagyartat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. That's in 3.9 in Bhagavad Gita. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. And the opposite of that is that people try to be happy by enjoying their senses.
Yeah.
I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this,
Yes.
and they think they'll be happy, but they can never be happy.
Never be happy.
That's the nature of this world.
Yes.
But through sacrifice, which is what Sanatana Dharma is all about, showing how we can sacrifice here. And like, for instance, our main sacrifice is through chanting the holy names, which, as you can see, the deity Lord Chaitanya. You always see us doing that. That's the particular one which is very, very important for this age.
Absolutely. And that was my next question, is that on one hand, what kind of youth and what kind of society we want to develop. So a lot of people don't understand specifically the Hare Krishna. When I look at the Hare Krishna movement, the ISKCON people, they are the one who are basically producing the idealistic society. Yeah. So when I look at a young person, what do you want from a young person? Don't drink alcohol, which you do. You don't eat. These days, the vegetarianism is promoted. So you promote vegetarianism. Yes. Live a peaceful and, a life with ahimsa, not non-violence that you promote. Yeah. So like that. So can you elaborate this whole lifestyle of a Hare Krishna devotee, which is the idealistic for society?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like the sattvic society is what we're trying to, develop in that sense, or at least develop it in ourselves, first of all, obviously, and then try to share it with others. I know that verse comes, Yajada Charati Shrishtas. Whatever a great man does, other men follow. In other words, they need examples. It's no use just saying you should be like that. As a person who smokes can't tell someone else not to smoke, So we have to become ideal personalities. And that's what that Srila Prabhupada is set up this whole program for, up early in the morning. Generally in the temples it's at 4:00. Because I live on the outskirts, my average is about 5:00. And first thing though is read the scripture, study the Bhagavatam, study Bhagavad Gita, and then next thing is chant Hare Krishna on beads, on japa mala. Yes. My vow, which I took almost 40 years ago, is to chant 16 rounds every day, which is about 2 hours every day. So that is, it's such an amazing lifestyle. You get extreme happiness, just by that. And you were mentioning the kind of the ups and downs.
Yes.
That will happen anyway.
Yes.
It's just because you do that doesn't mean to say you won't.
Yes.
But, the Bhagavad Gita, matra sparshas tu kantiya, through, happiness and distress, fame or infamy, honor and dishonor, one learns to tolerate it. Tamsta tikshava bharata. One learns to tolerate it without being disturbed, Wow. So that's where the happiness comes from, control of the mind, control of the senses.
This is another thing. The society today, you look at young kids are talking about depression.
Yes.
I have felt in my life as well at some point, stress, anxiety, depression.
Yes.
And this is another side of a Hare Krishna, the movement, the people who are engaged. They're always submerged, in the name of Krishna, and depression is like a far thing for them.
Well, that's really, I think, what we, in that sense, have to offer. Now, as I say to you earlier, we have to practice it ourselves, and Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, which means that constant chanting and constant hearing.
Yes.
You have to keep doing it. You can't do it one time and then stop. But if you keep doing it, then you can experience that level whereby. Now you have to be very. You can't become proud if you get some. Because pride is the enemy of all of this. But that's what we feel that we have to offer to society, and we're starting some courses quite soon. One of them is called Journey of Self-Discovery, and it's specifically aimed at exactly what you're talking about. It's like a scientific presentation, except the science is the science of spirit.
Science of spirit.
Yes. Yeah. And the science of spirit is even much more accurate than the material science, because material science only studies the externals, but it doesn't even know whose externals they are, if you know what I'm saying.
So while you're talking, you already into my answer of a question which I was supposed to ask, that why Krishna consciousness is relevant today.
Yes.
Why if the people who are young, especially Indian community who is watching this, and the Irish community, what is your message to them? Why this is relevant even today?
Yeah, it's relevant as far as we go on in Kali Yuga.
Yes,
things will get worse.
yes.
But Krishna left he's non-different from his name. So when you're chanting the name of God, Krishna's present.
Yeah.
Now that might take a while to ultimately realize that, but through the sadhana practice, we will get to be able to realize God. And same thing with the Bhagavatam, because it appeared just after Krishna left 5,000 years ago. He left the Bhagavatam, so the Bhagavatam is the sound incarnation of Krishna.
Yes.
So Krishna's in every atom, So he's there. That's why he's relevant, because he's here. Now, we can choose to ignore him, and we will suffer.
Yes.
Basically, because it's his planet, it's his life, it's his sun, his moon, his air, the stars, his heart. We don't own anything. He's the supreme proprietor of everything.
Yes.
So if we kind of live our lives negligent of that, then our consciousness will go lower and lower and lower. And then when it comes to the time of when we're leaving this body, we won't be remembering Krishna, but we'll be in the consciousness of a lower species even.
Yeah.
So it's hugely relevant.
Hugely relevant. So basically, from a spirituality point of view, from mind control point of view, what you're simply saying to the youngsters, to everybody, that this is the philosophy. If you follow, you will find peace of mind. Your quality will go better. And along with, if you are a parent out there, what do you want from your kid? Go and drink alcohol or non-alcohol, or just become a pure sattvic life, which we call pure vegetarianism and all that. So along the path of this is like a way of life you're telling us, right?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the Vedic society, huge importance was given to bringing up children. Huge importance. The whole idea of Garbhadan Samskar and all the Samskars. Why? Because you're inviting sattvic people into this planet.
My goodness.
To be here, to bring peace.
Yes. And since you mentioned this, actually, this is so relevant to specifically for the Indian community, because majority of them are like, who are coming right now, 25 to 35 years of age. They are getting married and they are having kids. When you mentioned the Garbhadhan Sanskar, there is a book written by Mr. Tambe. I gave these two books I got from India. We did live experiment for 2 years. We gave the book to a couple and we said, you follow it. And they were so good. They followed the whole book. Their kid was basically a normal child's weight. It was like little over that. One of the most happy child they have produced because they were just following that whole life. I have given that book to another fellow and he's following. He also had kids 3 months back. It is amazing the way you look at these kids, they're growing.
Yeah, so it's hugely, exactly. This is the point, that, even say Krishna, everybody knows that verse about Krishna. Whenever there's a decline in religious principles, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, abhutana adharmasya tadatmanam shadamyaham. That's when he appears to rectify the thing again.
Yes.
And that you were saying about the children, about which would the parents prefer.
Yes.
Well, if they have sattvic children, then they will invite people who will come into this planet, who will help this planet. And if they don't,
yes,
if they have children who are just trying to enjoy their senses, do this, to eat deer, do all these things, then what will happen? The whole fabric of society will decline, and that's what's happening.
And that is exactly what happened
in Kali Yuga. Yes. That's what's happening.
Yes.
We are very lucky. I remember back in about 2004, 2005, I used to go over to several pilgrimages to India, and I went to there was these great yatras where we would visit all the holy places, and there was some amazing devotees there, and I always wished, I wish they would come over here, because we want to really bring this about, and there was so many problems with visas, this visas, that 6 month here, then back again. And all this trouble was there, and what are they going to work at? No, they're not going to work at something. They're going to help the society, because they're monks, but it didn't work. So, but now it's incredible what's happening. In India, a lot of the time they had these university programs where young people would go to university, but they would stay in an ashram. And they all studied in the ashrams, and they led a very sattvic lives. So now those people are the people in the last 5 to 10 years who have got jobs in IT and various other. They're coming over. They're living here. They're getting citizenship here. And they're trained up. So whereas they couldn't come then, they're coming here now.
Now they're coming.
So it's been a huge bonus benefit for ISKCON, for the Hare Krishna movement, that we've got all of these trained up people coming from India who are starting up different ashrams, who hopefully will start gurukuls, will start namahatas, little things. This is what society needs. So yeah.
So the question I wanted to ask now is that, so what is the current status? Do you see, when you see the people, new people, youngsters joining ISKCON in here, especially coming to temple and taking the movement forward, is it primarily like, do you see Indians? Do you see Irish? Like, what is the current status on it? Like, how do you see it?
Yeah, there has been another social or sociological changes in the world. Initially, only people from the West were in ISKCON, mainly. Especially up until about the early 70s, and then they went over to India, and then the Indian people saw, what are all these guys doing? They're dressed in our garments, they're singing our songs, and so they became more and more attracted then, and then now ISKCON, as you know, probably is gone amazing in India.
Oh yes.
Whereas in the West, it has declined. It was declining then after all the members started to get married, went outside, did their various jobs and whatever. And since the Indian community started to come in, they have taken over, not just taken over in the sense, but have developed all the temples that were got originally and which were falling into disrepair, and they were falling into misuse. They have revived a lot of those temples.
Wow.
All across America, all across the UK, in Ireland here, it's also been very beneficial. So now we're working hand in hand. And while at the moment, the population in Ireland, for various reasons, we have members coming, but not in the same numbers as they used to. In fact, we probably have more membership now from people from East Europe. That is another huge, explosion of people interested in
countries
Krishna
we're talking here, roughly?
Well, it was Latvia, Lithuania, a lot of those countries, the Baltics, and a little bit of Croatia and places like that.
Croatia as well?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Nowadays, though, it's from Ukraine.
Ukrainian people, wow.
Oh, the Ukraine is phenomenal. Yesterday I was with a group of Ukrainians and wonderful devotees. They practice very seriously. They practice better than the Irish did anyway.
Better than Indians.
But it's amazing. Like, and they are like we have different language programs now. We're starting where we have all the classes in Russian speaking.
Yes.
You know, so we're just about to start that now. So yeah, they're great help as well.
So that brings to the next question, that a lot of people think this is ISKCON, you come here, chant, but there is way more goes into this whole infrastructure or ecosystem of Krishna. Like you're having classes, you're having like music, you're having a connection with society, some green initiative. So can you give us like say for example, if I ask you for a whole year, right? Yeah. What goes on in ISKCON, right? From daily chanting to what are these key activities you guys are doing?
Let me take this opportunity just to say how important the whole Varnashram idea is, how to introduce it into the West, because as we know, being in Ireland, you know, the way in which the mother cow is treated is terrible, basically. And you find that the Vedic system is probably the most eco-friendly system that's there.
It is. Yes.
It's the most it worships the soil, the earth, Mother Earth, Mother Bhumi.
Yes.
So you can, you're not supposed to poison it.
Yes.
With all these chemicals and whatever.
Fertilizers.
And try to speed up things. Yeah. It's like, pushing Mother Earth, pushing Mother Cow, produce.
Yeah, and they're talking about organic now, while the Vedic system is pure organic.
Pure organic, always was.
Yes.
It was such an incredible system.
Yeah.
So we have a World Agriculture Minister.
Okay.
For
ISKCON.
For ISKCON, yeah, sorry. And he's from Brazil. And we're working on, this is something which I feel is very important, as a way in which we can help the society here, is to show some pilot schemes initially of how the cow is protected. And this is what, by Krishna's grace, we're hoping to do in Dublin.
Yes.
And are just outside Dublin. And the reason is so that school children, because we go to lots of schools and things like that.
Okay.
But we're hoping that people will come in. It's okay to talk about it, but just to demonstrate it, and to demonstrate some growing as well.
Yes,
and utilizing the soil properly. There's so many different aspects. We rented a plot out in Newbridge for the last couple of years, and we produced vegetables and for the restaurant and for the Sunday program and things. And it was a little bit experimental, but there was 6 of us who went out, and it was fascinating. It was one of the most fascinating 2 years of my life.
Wow!
We had a wonderful teacher who totally organic, totally in tune with the earth, totally working with nature, not trying to exploit nature. And that's what happens, you see. Unless you understand that God is behind all of these things, then you'll think that this is just something I can utilize for my senses, that I can enjoy. So it's a total wrong philosophy.
Yeah.
That's what's going on in the capitalist, in that sense, or the consumer society. That has to be changed if the earth has to survive.
Yes. I see Sadhguru talks a lot about this as well. Yes.
Enough for, as Mahatma Gandhi said, enough for everyone's need, but not for their greed.
Yes.
So that greed has to be dealt with. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, it is lust only, O Arjuna, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of the soul. Yes. And lust is, synonymous with greed, lobha, and then from that then comes anger. When that's not so. Is there anger in the world today?
Yeah,
over small things. Complete
people road rage, like just killing people just for road rage.
So you see how it's all interlinked. It is. So I feel as if we make this step now, and show how the Vedic system is so all encompassing. then people in Ireland will take note. We've had myself and I think you know who I've put myself and Sanjeev. We've been going to government ministers and we've been showing them these ideas, showing them where they worked in other parts of the world. Now we want to demonstrate them.
Yeah, Sanjeev Bhai, he's working.
And myself and Sanjeev Barak and several others. And we've gone to see government ministers and shown them how this is so important. And we want to get their backing. And so far, it's been very good. You know, there's been a lot of support there. So I'm really happy with that. So the overall view is that for ISKCON, the Indian community, is to show as an example, you know, in the world of how to live. I mean, you know, all the formulas are there. Sattvic lifestyle.
Everything. So it will be demonstrated. So before I just go into that temple project, little bit back to the same thing. So basically your horticulture or Vedic way of living life, that's one way basically you're promoting. Then you're doing events as well. Then you're creating connectivity with the schools, you know, teaching all that. And I have seen you guys promoting Sanatan Dharma in street, singing. What other activities are going on in ISKCON, like for a person to know, like what else goes on?
Well, we do the Food for Life.
Food for Life, okay.
And you know we've just started that again, and like even through COVID, we were doing it here and doing, you know, serving meals out for free on Sundays, and now we're on every Thursday we do 200 plates in front of the GPO.
Wow!
You know? So we're increasing in that. We're just looking to increase in that because.
So 200 plates every week?
Every Thursday, yeah.
Every Thursday you're serving to the people?
Yes, yeah.
And that's all free donation?
Oh, it's all free, yeah. Yeah, no, that's something that's our dharma. That's what we have to do.
And I see a lot of broken people with the problems in life, facing, you know, stress, anxiety, depression, also coming here and going happy after some time. Any stories there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like on Sundays, we can get up to, you know, a couple of hundred people coming here, and you can see the size. It's not a big temple room. So, and I think they're just happy to have the comradeship. I mean, we on Innisrath, it was quite interesting. Recently, one of my friends in Belfast, he kept on asking the BBC to do a program about the island because he wanted people to come from Belfast to the island, and I thought they'd never listen, you know. But eventually, persistence beats resistance, and they sent a cameraman there with you know, an interviewer, and he was really happy, and they came on board. They came at some festival, and it was an electric atmosphere. It was just wonderful, and everyone was there was boatload after boatload of people coming from Belfast, and he was saying, just see these people, you know, they feel like it's their home. It's like India away from home, like, you know. And anyway, he did a 3-minute video, but it went onto the BBC network, but then it went onto the worldwide network. And then it was the most viewed. And it's quite funny. We were out doing, myself and Sanjeev and a few others, we were out doing the gardening at the time out in Newbridge, and suddenly I got this message, do you know it's on this? And I looked, I see. I didn't even know what it was. But and then I looked at it again, then it was the third most viewed, then it was the second most viewed, and then it was the most viewed. It kept on going up, so it was looked on by many people. So it's like a home away from home, I think. In Innisrath especially, I think. That's in Enniskillen, and people love going there because it's such a tranquil atmosphere. You know, it's the water surrounding, and so in Dublin, as you can see, we're trying to expand. We need a bigger place because
you need it. Yes.
I mean,
tell me about the whole now temple. You know, because people who are listening, and I think they all need to understand that, you know, today this temple right in the heart of Harcourt Street can only serve so many. But the proper Vedic way of life, ISKCON is just not that how to live in harmony with atmosphere, with the environment and everything. That can be demonstrated as a lab where you have lots of land, you have a proper place where space is there. So this ambitious project which you guys are working on, you know, we had the fundraising event just 2 days back here. So people want to know. So give them a quick glimpse.
Yeah, I mean, basically, on Janmashtami the year before last, we had over 1,000 people here, and the room was so packed in that sense. They weren't all coming at one time, but there people were waiting on the stairs for half an hour before they could come in and see. So it just we hired a place last year and about 2,000 people came, but it is part of it. We do need a bigger space, but the whole idea of the Vedic temple or the Vedic temple project or the eco project is to demonstrate how we can live in harmony with nature and also live in harmony with the persons whose nature it is.
Well said.
And I think it's a great gift if we could get people to connect the two and not try to separate the two, because that's the general tendency.
Yes.
But it's Krishna is the supreme. God is in every atom in that sense. The supreme personality of Godhead is in every atom.
Yes.
So unless we recognize that fact and offer it back, because that's what bhakti is about, like it's devotional service. We're using the energy that we have here now, knowing whose energy it is in the first place, and we're offering it back to the spirit. It's like the Ganga.
Yes.
How do you worship the Ganga?
Yes.
You take pieces of the Ganga and you worship. You offer it back to the Ganga. So our energy is like that.
Yes.
We're offering our energy to God. So that's what bhakti is about.
Yes. So what are your plans for the temple then? You want to have a gosala there, a temple, and obviously a food and kitchen, all that. And is there any plan for residential as well there?
There will be some plan for residential, but it will probably be for pujaris that are the people who are going to stay, because the whole puja, it starts early in the morning, 4:30, and goes till 9 o'clock at night.
Yes.
So it's very serious. We won't open up the full scale temple worship until we have plenty of. It's said you need at least 40 people who are second initiation.
Okay.
Who have taken double the vows in that sense.
Yes.
Then you can feel comfortable, because you cannot, start it and then stop it. It's not like it's not. It's you're actually, because I was there at the installation in 1986. I was there in the one in 1983 as well. But you're calling the Supreme to take residence, and you're saying to him, we promise that we will look after you when you're here properly. And there's all this ancient system of worship, which is done in, very elaborate detail. And so I know now, after all these years, that we will do it very, very properly, very specifically, but only when we're really ready. But that's not going to stop us not getting the temple.
Yes.
Because the temple will be there, and a community center. Cultural center, educational center. Because ISKCON ultimately is educational.
Education, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita.
Exactly. That they were the two of the other 7 main things that Prabhupada brought in.
I always say to everybody that, you take top 100 motivational speaker of this planet, look at their books, summarize that, 80% what they say is in Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. Absolutely,
80% what they say.
That's very, 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 very true. Perfect. I mean, it is, and
So the Indian, especially the Indian NRI diaspora, with what we have there, what would you say in this? How should they help you in this temple project? Like, if you're asking them, first come to the ISKCON temple, dedicate their time, come in numbers and all that. Second, probably join the subscription you have for the temple project and all that. Means, what will be your message to these people? How should they connect with you, means ISKCON here?
Well, as I was mentioned to you there, that a lot of the these devotees who were trained in India, they're setting up these different sanghas, basically.
Okay.
And basically they go through Bhagavad Gita, they go through Bhagavatam.
Okay.
That really is.
So that is the core understanding and education and devotion. Basically, that's one part of it. Yeah.
Exactly. Because from that,
we
will come the real desire to do these things and the sustainability. Okay. But also, people, because I know there's many different systems as well.
Oh yeah,
and which the plurality is incredible. It's a great testimony.
Yes,
and so people will kind of help in that way also, because the temple, as everybody knows, is for everybody.
Yes.
And so that will be very much, I believe, we will take a definite role in doing lots of educational programs.
Yes.
Both even on the simple level, in the sense of growing, eco, all of that area we're hoping to develop there, but also we go to several colleges now, and on that level too, we were going to invite much more colleges there to us. So basically, anybody who can help, like the subscriptions are always going to be there.
Yes.
Because they're always very important. The direct debit, I'll give you an example. In Fermanagh, in Enniskillen, during COVID, it's an island. What can you're depending on people coming there to keep it going.
And COVID,
no one was allowed to come.
Yeah.
But because so many people had taken out the direct debits,
yes,
we were able to survive very well, and and we were able to deal with all the bills, keep the worship going, and so in the same way, this whole temple in Ireland, in Dublin, will be run in the same way through subscriptions,
yes,
and through fundraisers. I feel particularly comfortable. I don't mind it because I've donated large amounts of Lakshmi myself, because I had to work. I've never had the luxury of just being the temple priest, for instance.
It's a same story.
My art gallery's been there for so many years, and my son now is taking it over. I'm hopefully retiring this year, and any Lakshmi that I have ever given, I'm not trying to say I'm great or anything, but I have. It's been my dharma to distribute, to give it to this to the society. So I would say to become part of the fundraising projects, because
for the temple,
project, we're going to need in the next few years, quite large injections of Lakshmi.
Yes,
we obviously generate from this restaurant here.
Yes.
And it's been, we're very well located, and we have a very good product from the last 20-something years.
Yes.
And it's prasadam as well.
Yes,
it's sanctified food.
Right on top there is Krishna. Underneath there is a kitchen. Right.
The temple on the top. It's the stairways to heaven.
Exactly. It's
like, first of all, you end up upstairs.
It's amazing. Like you never see this, right, where you have Krishna here, but temple food is there.
Yeah.
Here Krishna is directly blessing the food.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So that will be something which we're doing. As I say, our priority is to get the land first of all.
It is very important to take the initiative to this level now.
And to get it's not easy. I think everybody will know, to get the planning permission for the community centres.
Yes.
So we have a place at the moment which we're really seriously trying to acquire.
Yes.
Which will have some planning which would be suitable for a temple.
Yes.
And hopefully community centre as well.
Yes. And for that temple project, it's just not a temple. It's an educational center. It's a cultural center. It's an eco-friendly environment where various things will kick off, how to live in harmony with nature. So there is a fundraising thing going on right now. Everybody should connect with that and donate to ISKCON whatever way possible. And also come to the temple, talk to the priest and like Manu Prabhuji and everybody, know more about the temple, how exactly the temple is being built and how you can support. So there are multiple ways to support, right?
Oh, there are.
Become volunteer, donate money.
Huge. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, changing the topic slightly, right? Bhagavad Gita is so close to my heart. I have taken so many from you, do my best to give people.
Hundreds.
That is another side of ISKCON, that you are donating Bhagavad Gita from last, 40 plus years.
Yeah.
If you give me some estimate, like on a regular yearly basis, how many you're donating these or selling or whatever way, non-profit basis?
Well, our goal this year is about, for Bhagavad Gita is 1,500, but for this is for per year, and for other books, 11,000.
So 11,000 books.
Yes. Yeah.
Per year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, other years when we were all monks earlier, we were giving out 50,000, 60,000.
50,000, 60,000 books you're donating.
Oh yeah, we were just completely running up and down the streets, giving them to people. Like, he was so
that's what we
enthusiastic.
need now in Dublin as well. So the youngsters who come, this is another side of it.
Do you know what? This is very interesting. There's the in Silicon Valley.
Yes.
Famous Silicon Valley. There's a wonderful temple. It's ISKCON Silicon Valley, and it's made up of the Indian diaspora and also of people who have grown up in America.
Yeah.
Their children are some of the biggest distributors of books.
Wow.
In the whole of the US.
In the Silicon Valley.
In the Silicon Valley.
Wow.
And also they came over and they were demonstrating in London how to do that. And even the children were so enlivened. Because if you see it, this is kind of Prabhupada's secret weapon, both food and the literature, in the sense that if you get this literature out, you don't know where it will land. This is the point.
Yes.
People have come. There's one person that was there recently, and they were at the end of their tether, as they say. They were about to commit suicide, and somehow or other, there was a book in their house that said, "Let me read this book first."
Yes,
and it was Bhagavad Gita.
Yes,
and they did not go ahead, and now they're chanting and so on. Wow. So we don't know where these books end up. Well, he didn't get the book. I think it was his mother got it and just put it on the shelf or something.
I remember when I was reading the biography of Srila Prabhupada, his guru, Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, said to him once, if you get money, print books and distribute books. And since then, everything changed. I think he wrote about 80 books. And I was doing a little bit of research on him. And I think this is like a couple of years back, the devotees of ISKCON have donated over 1 billion books from that has been written by Srila Prabhupada. And now I can see clearly the number add up, because what you're saying, this temple and the last 40 years, you devotees have donated probably easily few million books.
I'd say hundreds of thousands, I'd say. Maybe close to 1 million, yeah.
Easily, because, wow.
Yeah, in the early days, like we were doing 50, 60, up to sometimes 100,000 in a year.
You will be very close to 1 million book distribution.
Yeah, more than likely, yeah.
Wow. Hopefully our future population will grow.
It's amazing because Prabhupada's lifestyle, a normal day for him, he was overseeing a worldwide organization in his late 70s and early 80s. Can you imagine all the difficulties? I mean, I'm here for 40 years and I managed a small temple in Dublin and in ISKCON for a few years. Yes. And the amount of difficulties I have even with that.
I know. He was 69 when he left India. And, 69
Can you imagine all the
age.
problems which would occur as well?
Yeah.
Thousands of young people suddenly take to Krishna. What sort of problems that they would have as well? And then they were opening temple after temple after temple.
Temple after temple.
But every day he got up in the morning after 2.5 hours rest and wrote these books, and translated these books.
Even when he was dying, he was writing books.
Exactly.
Translating, they're just recording them. And I think the first 10 cantos of Bhagavatam were written by him. Last two are by disciples, right?
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's like an inspiration,
so
to all of
us. He's our
real
Acharya,
guru.
Yeah, it's quite funny. I can remember one time being on the street, and it was a government turmoil. There was two parties, Fianna Fáil, I think, and there was a struggle for leadership. You know, and I was on the street on Grafton Street distributing some books, and the Minister for Foreign Affairs came along. His name was David Andrews, and he was with two other ministers. And I said, how are you doing? Would you like a book? He says, yeah, come on, sure, we might as well get this book. It might help the other guys, talk about the other guys, And he got the other two ministers to take a book and give a donation, So I felt then, we've made it, what I mean?
Very nice.
It was quite funny, though.
It is.
There were guys.
No, this is waking up. Because when I even sent, donated the Bhagavad Gita to the notary solicitor, because they take oath on the Bhagavad Gita, And
I didn't know that was you until I saw afterwards.
I just went to the notary, and the notary asked me, take an oath for a bank form. I had to send it to India. And he said, that, okay, take an oath. And I said, okay, I'll take an oath. So he gave me Holy Bible, and I said, that's not my book. With huge respect, but that's not my book. He said, okay. Then they gave me Holy Quran. I said, I have a respect, but that's not my book. What is your book? I said, my book is Bhagavad Gita. I don't have it. So what do we do? I said, put your hand on heart. And it hit me so hard that day.
Brilliant.
When I came out, and I said, before I went out, I said, if I give you this book, will you take it? And the notary said, yeah, why not? I said, okay. So I met with few people, and we started this thing. And so 94 notary solicitors, we drove car. Like in terms of ISKCON devotees, we're nothing. We're not even dust particle for the what you guys do it.
Raj, it's probably the future.
Yes,
it's the future of book distribution.
Yes,
because it's not as easy to get the younger people out to give them like they did.
Yes.
So there is lots of different ways now. So
yes.
So
exactly. Yeah.
You know,
so this talk is another way.
Oh yeah, that is true as well.
This is another way of, and the reason I wanted to document it, because your story will remain now forever in this digital world. Books will go, but this talk, and these days with the transcript is also going to remain in the world forever.
God,
So that's how we did this notary solicitor thing. I think we have completed that project. There are 350 notaries. 100, I think we 55% completed.
Right.
Now rest of them we just need to complete, so it's not a big deal. But at least Dublin 100 kilometers surroundings all done.
Brilliant.
So again, thanks to you and the ISKCON who we just came. We want Bhagavad Gita. So how many you need? So another quick question I have for you is that that in general today, the Ireland is becoming a cosmopolitan city where you see Ukrainian, Brazilians, and, from Eastern Europeans, India, Chinese, all of these people are coming, and there is more awareness in society.
Yeah.
So do you see more Irish people getting engaged with ISKCON, and do you see there is an uprise, or do we need to do more about it?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. We feel that we've got to do more about it, actually. I mean, we're definitely accepted now, like we weren't before. Even in my own work, as an art gallery owner, I've lots of my artists will know I'm a Hare Krishna devotee. Or lots of my clients, some very wealthy clients, and not a problem. Whereas before it might have been a problem or something. So we're definitely we're accepted now as part of the society. Actually, one writer in The Independent there a few years ago wrote an amazing piece where he said that the people that you saw on the streets back in the 80s and the 90s, now they're in, they might be in the next office to you, or they might be working as a solicitor, they might be this. So they have, and he said that although they're not as visible as they used to be, still, if you look at the things that they brought in, which is like vegetarianism, ahimsa, reincarnation, which wasn't, people in
West,
Ireland were not.
Actually, interestingly, these days, there is the crematorium is full.
It is, yes.
Like there is a queue for it. You can't get in if you die today. You have to wait for a week or so.
No, there are no more graves,
It's amazing.
It's incredible.
It's that people are turning more towards Hindu way of life.
Because it's truth. Because you cannot, like for instance, God is all omniscient. He's all knowing. He's all powerful, and he's all merciful.
Yes.
So if you have a God who doesn't only gives you one chance at this life, then why is it that somebody's born in one of the slums and somebody has a really big, huge opportunity in life? That doesn't seem to be fair.
Yeah, exactly.
So unless you have this understanding that you have many choices, many chances, then you won't really understand how great God is.
Yes.
So another brilliant, as you say, 80% in Bhagavad Gita.
80% of Bhagavad Gita. That is my favorite quote.
And that's one of our Madhvi has this school for the children learning all the verses in Bhagavad Gita. And from within a year now, she's got 60, 70 people, young children who... And I think these things are important that, because if they know these things, it'll help. Huge.
Okay, so... Manu Prabhu, it is such a pleasure. So what I want is to give a clear message today. the Indian diaspora specifically is reaching 100,000. And the struggle this ISKCON movement has gone through, the tough thing you have, tough phase you and the devotees have gone through is, I would say now is over. There's enormous support out there. And other thing what is happening there is a brand new, I would say easily hundreds of kids who were born in Ireland now reaching 18 to 25 years of age. So they have a kind of a Irish lifestyle, Irish understanding, very in-depth. And same thing, the mindset of, Indian Eastern philosophy, Sanatan Dharma and all that. So if they are all watching you, what is your final message to them?
Yeah, I think my message, is learn your scripture, learn Bhagavad Gita seriously, and learn it every day. Read it. It's so important, because it's like it's the whole universe talking to you. I think that that's the most important thing, to learn this Bhagavad Gita means the song of God. God is singing. He's dancing. He's having the best possible time. The spiritual world is real. The material world it's temporary. It's real, but it's temporary. So I feel that the young people in Ireland from an Indian background have a great opportunity to grab. And I found that more people from India who've come here to this temple, which is really amazing. They weren't taking their spiritual life seriously in India.
Yes.
And when they come here, they're really taking it seriously.
Very nice.
So I've been through all different philosophical systems, and I've been through religious systems. The Krishna consciousness movement, which exemplifies Sanatana Dharma, is the most intimate way in which to access the supreme source or the supreme spirit. It's one thing which the Indian diaspora has. It has a respect for elders,
yes,
and a respect for spirituality.
Yes.
Hold on to that with both hands. They're vital. Wow. It's vital. That respect is unsurpassed. It's a culture which you can keep and give to the Irish people, give to all people. You'll find that the Irish people will value it as well and see it, and they'll see spots of it in their own culture which they maybe have lost. But it'll revive that. Ultimately, Irish, English, we're all souls. We're all souls. So, you'll help all the souls, wherever you are. But anyone, Lord Chaitanya said, anyone who's born in India has a special responsibility
to do this.
It's a responsibility to hang on to your spiritual reality and to give it to others.
Wow.
So
wow.
Get it yourself and give it to others.
Very nice.
Two simple words.
Very nice. Yeah. It has been a pleasure, talking to you, Manu Prabhu, and it's really a pleasure. It's one of the best moments of my life, talking to a devotee like this who dedicated 40 years of his life. Thank you so much for joining this eYogi talk. So
thank you. No, thanks, Raj. I love the yogi talks. They're brilliant. Hare Krishna.